Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. Thank you for joining us. We're here for a full-time match reaction. It has finished rather breathlessly at St. James's Park. Newcastle 3, Liverpool 3. I'm your host, Matt, joined by my regular cohort of Kev, Chris, and Ashley, who've been holding the fort down while I've been gone. Ashley, that was an exciting game of football.
That's one word for it. It was very end-to-end. It was very... It was, in the end, very disappointing. I think just the way that we lost it, I think the steam that we built up in the second half after being absolutely horrendous for the first half, let's make no bones about it, to lose like that, it was just really frustrating. But yeah, it was an exciting game, but it would have been more exciting if we could have just held on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always better when you get all 3 points in the end. Chris, how's your blood pressure doing after that match?
That's fine. I'm just totally deflated by that lack of a performance. It was absolute non-performance. Make no mistake about it, we got away with a point there. We generally got away with a point because we were dreadful first half, got ourselves ahead, and then threw it away with a big mistake by the keeper. But if you keep giving away stupid, cheap free kicks on the edge of the box, it will come back and sting you. To be honest, although we scored 3, we missed 2 or 3 really big chances. So I think that you could be semi-pleased about is you came away with a point in a game that you were pretty abject in. But that whole performance was flat, and I kind of feel the same about that's how I feel in general, just flat.
Yeah, and Kev, what's your take on that? Is that a point gained, 2 points dropped? Does it matter?
Yeah, it does. Look, after the fact, it's point gain because, look, I don't think we're going to play that badly in too many games. We haven't seen that kind of performance over 90 minutes for a while. Saying that, Newcastle played well above themselves, played really well. We struggled to work out how to get through their press or around their press in the first half. Did better in the second half. Scored some really good goals. It has to be said. The 3 goals that we scored are really, really good. But yeah, that's probably the first time this season where we just haven't been able to keep it tight at the back. So take your licks, take it on the chin, take your point, get out of dodge, and you move on.
Yeah.
You know, you can't dwell on it. There is no point because the games are just coming up too fast. They've got to. It's one thing that I suppose that over the years of playing 3 games a week, they've learned very quickly to be able to just take a performance and put it in the bin and forget about it and move on to the next one. We've seen plenty of seasons in recent years where you put in that level of performance and you get beat and you get well beat. You know, we've done the shows. We've all been part of those shows. But you take your point. Yeah, it was a clangor at the end, a horrendous clangor at the end. But I don't think it's anything more than what Newcastle deserved over the 94, 95 minutes. I think they deserved a point out of it, for sure. You know, they worked their nuts off, and being the home side is what it is. You take your point. It's the game of the night, for sure. It's the game of the week so far. But what can you do? Just take your point and move on.
Yeah, well, it's Liverpool and Newcastle having another absolutely exciting Premier League classic level game is another one for the old advent calendar there. So I'll save that for next year, maybe. Scouser Pete says, sometimes teams play really well against you and you get drawn or beaten. We're not entitled pricks like Arsenal fans. Let's dissect the game in here and then move on. We have the blue shite to destroy on Saturday, and that is exactly what we're here to do. So thank you for putting us back onto the correct path there, Scouser Pete. If you're in here and you're not a usual in our post-match shows, do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button for us. It helps to get more people aware of the show, pushes it into the algorithm and all that technical stuff that I don't think anybody in the entire world actually understands. But thanks for being here and joining us, and let's have a little chit-chat about how it happened. Ashley, let's start with the lineups because that seems like a good place to start. We saw a couple of videos going out. We had one from our own Kev and one from Emmett trying to predict the lineups, and neither of them got Kwanzaa and Gomez starting. That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
I think so. And I think probably in retrospect, I mean, it was a risk he had to take just given our limited defensive options. But I do think that was that was a telling feature that they tried to exploit in the first half. And I don't think he necessarily was horrendous, but I just don't think that our back four looked settled at all today. I think, you can afford to rotate one new person into a settled back four, but with two, they just looked at all ends today. And I think they were really targeting Kwanzaa, and I think he was really, really lucky to get away with not giving away that penalty, because I thought that was a penalty.
Yeah, I didn't really get to see a half decent replay of it because I was furiously trying to write notes down. But I was happy enough to write "never a pen" or something along those lines there to it. Chris, we of course get the power of retrospect, which is so much more easy to use than forespect, antispect, whatever the opposite of retrospect is. Do you think that, given the chance to do it again, picking the same lineup again, that Arne Slot might go with Kwanzaa at center half and Gomez at right back instead?
No, I think he'd still do the same, because I think after Gomez played so well at centre half, I think he's decided that's his next pairing. And their Kwanzaa did fine when he came on at right back. He just had a poor game, but what probably didn't help Kwanzaa and Gomez and defence in general was the two lads in front, McAllister and Gravenberch, probably had their worst games of the season, which, that does sort of hamper you a little bit when your midfield base is just non-existent. There was just no running, no sort of covering. I was surprised McAllister started, because my fear was he'll get a cheap yellow in this sort of game, because it's that sort of game. And he didn't win the first couple of minutes, and you're like, that's him at the derby. So you're now looking even more limited. I know you can get a booking any time, but it just felt like one of those games. I mean, the lack of bookings in the game in general was bizarre for one side, but I don't think it was anything to do with the lineup today. I think it was just too many players had flat performances and just did not get to the level that was required. And we had a serious lack of concentration today. After me praising them last week, saying this is a side that has learnt to love defending again, that type of defending in the first half and near the end was what you saw probably 2 years ago when we finished fifth, and probably pre-Jurgen Klopp. It was deer in the headlights sort of stuff. They just looked panicked. And it was very unlike us.
Yeah. I mean, Kev, somebody earlier in the chat, I meant to save it and I failed to, so I apologize for not having your name, says it was like the definition of a hangover game for Liverpool. And I wrote down, where was I? Maybe about 20 minutes in, that's the leggiest I've seen us look all season. I would maybe disagree a tiny bit with Chris. I think McAllister was maybe worse in the Nottingham Forest game. I thought he was quite poor in that game. But, I mean, the first half, we'll get through some of the finer points of it. But, I mean, the first half, Kev, was terrible. It was terrible. I think maybe Curtis Jones got out of that half with a 5 out of 10, but everybody else was awful.
No, we didn't win a single battle in midfield in the first half. Look, right the way through the 90, really. We struggled all over the park to players to win their individual battles. And you get that happen too many times, and you're going to be on the wrong end of results. But credit to Newcastle, the way they put a flat 5 across the middle of the park in the first half and said, right, anytime a ball comes into your midfield, we're going to snap them with pairs. And we couldn't work out how to go through that. And when we couldn't go through it, we tried to go over the top of it. And Núñez, Salah, Gakpo couldn't hold the ball up. So we're giving the ball back in bad areas. How many times have you seen us this season lose the ball in the middle of the park that often and have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 players breaking on us? And you'd have our back four with that many runners running at them. It doesn't happen because we've been able to control the ball and maneuver sides around in the middle of the park. You can call it flat, you can call it a hangover. At the end of the day, I just think we didn't work it out on the pitch. And unfortunately, it needed to get to halftime for a Slot to try to change a few things. But the players have to learn how to adapt a bit better. That's probably the worst performance I've seen Ryan Gravenberch put in a Liverpool shirt, period, in all of his time at the club. And look, he's been spectacular all season. He dropped the clanger today. It's going to happen, but it happened with too many. McAllister, picked up an early booking, but look, you're going away to Newcastle. They're a big, physical, strong, powerful side. You're going to get bookings. And look, he picked up a booking. He misses the derbies. So what? I'm not bothered about that. Play Endo in the middle of the park against Everton. It's fine. No matter. but it's it was going to come. He's on 4 bookings. He's going to pick up a yellow against someone. He just so happens he picked it up tonight. He was more needed in a game away at Newcastle than he is in a game away at Goodison Park. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But overall, you look at. I mean, look. Go back to the Kwanzaa thing. Would I start at Kwanzaa? Yeah. Trent's coming back off a hamstring injury. He's played against Man City. He was subbed off because he can't do 90. He's hardly going to be able to go and do that again 3 days later on the back of a hamstring injury. We've got 5 defenders for 4 spots. If you're going to rotate Trent out, Gomez did enough to say he's stayed in the middle. I think we needed to adapt better to playing a centre-back at right-back. I don't think Robertson tucking into midfield to clog that area up even more helped. Someone needed to stay wide, and we needed to be able to play wide to go around them. And I think Robertson and Gakpo should have been the width on that far side. And if Kwanzaa is tucking back in, and Kwanzaa was taking up positions in the first half as an inside right forward, for God's sake. He's a centre back. He shouldn't be there. But he's there under instruction. That's down to the manager. But that's how the manager wants his fullbacks to play. And it doesn't matter who the fullback is, that's the position the fullback plays in.
Yeah, because presumably that fullback taking those positions is a basis for the shape and the passing triangles and whatnot that the rest of the team is doing. So you can't just tell them you're going to play in a flat back 4 because it would throw the rest of all that we've worked on.
I get that. But if you've got a centre-back who's 6'3", who's all right on the ball, but at best he's all right on the ball, then don't ask him to do things that he can't do. You know, and that's why I said you have to have the flexibility to be able to tweak it. And he does. He's shown he does. And he showed it in the second half he does. So it's a learning curve for him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's positives that we can take out of this game as Liverpool fans, as well as the negatives of not coming away with all 3 points. Ashley, as a fellow studious note taker, what did you have down through up until when Isaac scored? Because I have a lot of poor touch by one of our players, poor touch by one of our players, poor touch by one of our players. That McAllister has that volley that goes off of the post on 14 minutes. And other than that, it's pretty much all Newcastle in my notes.
Yeah, I think it was right around 14 to 19 minutes. There was, it was kind of the McAllister show where he had a couple of good shots and then he got that yellow card. And then I think, right around 22 minutes, there was the Murphy shot that was off the post, which, was right across goal. I think Kelleher was beaten there. I think we were lucky to see that go out. There was a lot of pressure from Isaac and Guimaraes. I think, it was a lot of them outpowering us kind of in every aspect of the game. I think that their press was better. I think that their shots on target were better. I think pretty much every metric really was better in that regard. And at that point, I was worried. I was thinking, what the hell is going on first and foremost? And I felt like we were only halfway through the first half, and I was like, we need to get to halftime because whatever is going on right now is absolutely horrendous. It's not working, and we need to regroup because, it's one thing being, kind of slow and methodical and steady for the first half. This felt like we were riding our luck, like absolutely riding our luck. And this didn't feel like the control that we see in the first half normally, where they're sort of feeling each other out. And it's sort of like a boxer, like figuring out where they're going to punch the other opponent. This felt like we got absolutely fleeced. So I think we were actually quite fortunate to get away with the first, quarter of an hour.
Yeah, well, our luck runs out. I mean, Chris, it has nothing to do with it, the goal. It is excellent center forward play by an excellent center forward who, if not for a very questionable injury record, would be very much in demand because that's a hell of a shot by Isaac, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No keeper saving that. The shot's great. If I'm nitpicking, could Van Dijk be a bit sharper? It's a bit of a lazy leg. It doesn't really charge into block the shot. But listen, take it off and away. No keeper saving that. It's an absolute peach of a goal. And what they deserved. The only positive thing about the first half was it was only 1-0 because Gordon should have scored about 5 minutes later. And Kelleher, to his credit, does a really good save. So I know Kelleher's going to get pelters for the equaliser. Rightly so. It's a terrible mistake, but he also at 1-0 kept us in it. But it's the joy of being the goalkeeper. You've got to have to suck it up. Because people only ever remember your mistakes. It's probably the only one he's made this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the only one that I can think of that really jumps off of the page. And it's so high profile that it's terrible. But I mean, yeah, I didn't put a ton of blame on DVD. Now I haven't watched any of the goals back or anything like that, but it just felt like there was 2 men on him, and then Isaac takes him and immediately with his first touch spins Van Dijk and goes left to right around him, and then takes the shot quickly. But then I'm very happy you pointed it out because it was an awful touch from Joe Gomez that lets Anthony Gordon come in 1v1, and Kelleher comes out. Big save. It's absolutely fantastic and keeps us in it because at that point, like Ashley was saying, it felt like we were reeling. And I mean, Kev, just before we get to halftime, we get a couple of more yellow cards. So we've got Kwanzaa on a yellow. We got Gravenberch on a yellow to go with McAllister's early yellow. Thank God the whistle blows. We get into halftime. It's only 1-0. I wanted to see at least one change at halftime. I can't have been the only one, Kev. Like, I think pretty much every fan had it well within their rights to be fuming at that performance at halftime.
Yeah, we just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't work out what we were doing. So Slot must have went out with a plan of how to go at Newcastle. Newcastle literally just stood their ground. Said, look, we will force you into mistakes. And when you make your mistakes, we're going to hurt you. And they did with the goal. Gordon should have definitely scored that clumsy clearance by Gomez. At that stage, and we've seen this before with Joe Gomez, that, look, when he's on it, he's brilliant. But if he fluffs his lines, and he went on a wander for their first goal. He was ball watching. That's why Van Dijk had the 2v1. And the ball played inside him. It was a good finish, but it was because Gomez had gone too far ahead of the line, allowed the space to open up to be the run. But yeah, I was definitely hoping to see Szoboszlai coming on at half time. Just energy, someone to run and to be able to run with the ball. And so one thing you look at with Dominic Szoboszlai, he's got this sense to be able to intercept the ball and position himself in areas where he can force mistakes. And that's the one thing we never did. But, you hope to see something change. And to be honest, at halftime, for the first 5 minutes in the second half, I was looking and I was like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. They were still going hammer and tongs at us. And, we got our goal against the run of play completely. But, who else can talk about the goal? But at the end of the day, up until that goal came in, I couldn't see us getting back into it. I don't understand why a change wasn't made at halftime. At least one. We needed some way of solidifying the middle of the park.
Well, who would you like to have seen come off? Because like the two that I wanted to see is I wanted to see Trent come off for Kwanzaa. And I saved this comment from Brian O'Halloran, which I think is pretty good. And Brian says the only reason Kwanzaa didn't get subbed at halftime was because it's already happened this season and would have killed his confidence.
No,
and
I don't.
Sorry, that's why you press the footballer. I
don't think that had anything to do with it.
No,
I can see the media taking it that way.
Yeah, but
I don't think that would have been Slot's idea. Yeah, I think that could have gone in the advent calendar, but I don't think Slot would have cared. I think that he played him because he needs to play him, and because he knows ultimately from a sports science perspective that there are limits that his defenders have, and he has to respect that. And even with Gomez coming off, I'm sure he didn't want to take Gomez off, but he took that ball to the face, and I think he had to pull him. And I think it didn't get registered as a concussion substitute, but I think it kind of was.
It was a long time. Yeah. Oh no, it was only about 5 or 6 minutes afterwards. But what I was going to ask Kev is Kev, who did you want? And we'll go around here because I think kind of everybody might have wanted to see Szoboszlai come on. Who would you have taken off for Szoboszlai, Kev, at halftime if you could
have? I would have taken Gravenberch off, drop Jones back. And there's a strong argument as well to change the shape and maybe look to bring Diaz on for McAllister and just go with 4-4-2. Just go with four up top and just go for it. You know, it was that kind of game. I just couldn't see a way of us keeping the same shape and playing the way we were playing, finding ways to get back into it unless something changed. And granted, it took a while for it to change, but it did change as Newcastle got tired. The midfield started to open. Their press became more disjointed. They stopped going in bunches and they were going individually. And that freed up space. And when the space freed up, you saw a different version of Liverpool for probably about 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and then that becomes the fun part of the match that we are going to dive into the absolute bones of. But just before we do that, I'm going to pivot in and do my regular halftime promos here. First up, we got fan supporting food banks, the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, which are our 2 charity partners. You'll always find the link to the GoFundMe page to help us support these 2 charities, trying to raise 5,000 euros for each of them. If you can donate, please help donate. If you can't, share it amongst whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, text message groups, whatever you have. Just help us get the word out there, and we're going to keep plugging away at this thing. And also, our good sponsors, footballprizes.co.uk, have a Strikers Edition prize bundle going right now. So we have jerseys from Diogo Jota, Robbie Fowler, Fernando Torres, Michael Owen, Darwin Núñez, who will be mentioned in a bit, and the main prize, which is a signed framed Luis Suarez jersey. $3.95 a ticket. They're selling 499 tickets, and the competition closes on, and this is very spooky, Friday the 13th. Ashley, I'll come back to you. We're talking about all the changes you might want to see, and for as poor as he was in the first half, you do not take a player like Mohamed Salah off of the pitch because the ball he plays with the outside of his foot for Curtis Jones is outstanding. It's another fantastic assist, and I know that you love a good statistic, but today was the game. He took exactly 1 game after catching Wayne Rooney to beat Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, and I think it was 214 games faster than Rooney did it, which is just insane. 214 fewer games to get to that record-breaking 37 games where he had a goal and assist. So he's outstanding. I mean, it's silly at this point. I think, you know, we all know the narrative. We all know the conversation. We all know the kind of black cloud that's hanging over us at this point. There's a quote in there from Slot that we'll get to later that is actually quite interesting.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys can read into this what you will. I'm going to read into it positively because it wasn't the most positive of nights. Where Slot basically says, we are hoping and expecting he can continue this for a long time. He was outstanding in the second half. He did many special things for us. And he also goes on to say, you know, when we need a goal, Mo Salah scores a goal. That's the first kind of slightly, I don't know, like pointed response to a question that I think Slot's given with regard to Mo Salah. And I hope that means what I think it means. I hope I'm reading into it the correct way because he's outrageous. You know, he's not in the game for the first half. He was terrible for the first half. But, you know, it's Mo Salah, and that's what he does. He kind of is under the radar, and he keeps his brain in the game, and then he turns up with magic. And that's what that was. For Jones, it was magic, and he sees passes that no one else can see.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect that. I mean, when the ball went in, it was like
a blink of an eye. I was like, what the hell happened?
An absolute bolt out of the blue. And again, Curtis Jones being that fourth man into the box, that runner from the midfield, seems to be kind of thriving in that number 10 role. So him and Szoboszlai and presumably Elliott when he comes back in, all going to have a battle on their hands to be the one that's on the end of these sumptuous balls from Mo Salah. Chris, I'm going to come to you with the next note that I have in here because I mentioned his name in the football prizes draw, and I'm going to hold my hands up here and say on the Sunday night show, I said the defensive work that Darwin did at the end of the game is good enough that I will forgive his misses in front of goal for the next week or two. And much like John Matrix, when he told Sully he would kill him last in Commando, I lied. I am fucking furious with it because how doesn't he score? It's another sumptuous ball by Mo Salah, floats one to the back post. Gakpo heads it clear back across goal, and Darwin, like, how you doing with Darwin, Chris?
Why doesn't Gakpo score? Why isn't Gakpo going for goal? Because that's the
too
exact.
narrow. That's too narrow.
It's the same. It's the same angle Shaw scores from.
It's way too narrow.
Shardon
score with his head.
But Gakpo could edit. I still think Gakpo should be going for goal, and then Nunes goes back. Nunes is too slow to react. He's far too slow to react. I don't know why he's not looking and assuming the point of the striker is you assume your mate's going to get it, and you throw yourself in just in case. He's too slow to react.
He didn't want to hurt himself.
Okay, he's fucking.
He didn't want to hurt himself. Call it what it is. He literally he was going for the far post, and if he goes at a full pelt, he's wrapping his shins into the post.
That's even worse than
that. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I still think Gakpo should be going towards goal. I think from that angle, I've seen Gakpo head. I'm sure he could score from angles like that or get a better contact. But Darwin's also too slow to react. Between the two of them, it wasn't great. I mean, I'm actually more pissed off about the second shot he had, where we all say with Darwin, if he doesn't have time to think, he's pretty lethal, and it's a horrendous shank. It just summed his game up, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he finished the game. Generally,
if there was another option on the bench, he wouldn't have.
To me,
like
throw Elliott on, like you said, change shape, go 4-4-2. Play Elliott.
Like, where has his shooting gone? Like, I know that he's done a whole bunch of tracking back. I know that he's really like being a team player and all that, and his defensive work is absolutely commendable. But like I don't know if it's lack of confidence or what, but he was a goal scoring machine at some point 2-3 years ago. It's like he doesn't shoot at all now. Like I look at him now and I'm like, it's like he doesn't even have the effort.
I must admit though, I do think when Jota plays number 9, we were saying that quite a lot with Jota going, he's not really getting his shoot position, he's not really getting many shots off. It seems to be the way the play. It's the most of the chances still come to the 2 wide players. Which, look, it's fine. If it's by design, then so be it. The number 9 gets less opportunities, but he's snatching at too many. But listen, he wasn't the only one. I'm not seeing
him really get anything on goal now, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if it is in goal, it's directly at the keeper. It's like I feel like in months gone by, he at least had efforts where you're like, oh, okay, that was close, or the keeper made a good save. I feel like now it's like it's dried up completely.
Yeah, and it summed it up after he missed it. Liverpool then go to Newcastle. Here's gift number 2. Take the goal. And it's unfortunately, we're saying, it feels like I'm picking up a lad, but Kwanzaa, he's too deep. He's in the wrong position. Then he doesn't react to his mistake. And as soon as you're saying Kelleher should say goal, I don't think so. I don't think Kelleher could do anything about it. Between Gomez and Kwanzaa, but Kwanzaa's too deep. It's quite basic, and he should know if you're the fullback, you tend to be higher than centre backs. That sort of defending 101, So that's what frustrates me about the second 2 goals. The second 2 goals are pure gifts, and I thought that was something we got out of our system. But both of them were gifts. The first one's a great goal, and you know what? If we'd have drawn 1-1 and that was the goal, the exact goal, you can sort of sit there and go, you know what? Sometimes players score great goals, and you bit like the lad from Forest who scored against us. That was a game with a 0-0, and the lad pings a beauty in. Sometimes you go, okay, there's not much you can do about it. That happened. But the second and third goal are just rank bad amateurish defending, and that I think that's what's sticking in my craw more than anything else. Is I could take a draw. If you want to put a positive head on, it's still a gap of 7 points. Newcastle have taken points off City, points off Arsenal, points off us. So they know how to get points off the big teams, but it's the manner of the performance. As in, I'd rather it be one of those games where you played well. It's just you just have one of those games, But my mild concern is that's 2 back-to-back away performances where we've been pretty average in the first half and sort of got it together second half. But that's 2 back-to-back away games now against sides that on paper you should be expecting to beat. Newcastle's a tough away trip, but our record against Newcastle is the last time they beat us was 2015. We've won there many times.
Eddie Howe has 1 win in 19 games. I think
exactly. Newcastle are a tough side, but they're a side we have a decent record against. And I think if Liverpool played anywhere near their level today, they still would have won.
It's always like a ding-dong game, though, with them. Like, it always
is.
I
It
think,
is. It just...
And that's what was so frustrating about this is, like, it was still a ding-dong game, but we had clawed it back. I mean, I saw a stat earlier that said that Newcastle haven't lost after scoring first at all this season. And, that continued today. But I think what made it so frustrating is that you saw pretty much Mo Salah, like, single-handedly claw this back within grasp, and it was there. And I think losing the way that we did makes it feel like, or not losing, I mean, tying. There we go. Tying the way that we did makes it feel like a loss.
I mean, to put it into context, before today's draw, I mean, today's draw adds to the stat, but before today, Newcastle took the lead in 5 of the last 10 games as Liverpool and still not won. So going behind to Newcastle is not detrimental because we've done it before and we find ways of getting wins. But it's not very often Liverpool get a lead that late and throw it away. It's been a while since we've been doing that.
Yeah,
so I think it's the manner. I think it's the manner of the draw. That's what
we'll all have a chance to talk about the final 5-10 minutes of the game. But I mean, there's still so much to get through. Kev, on a Trent Alexander-Arnold amount of minutes, we make a triple substitution. We bring the aforementioned Trent on for Gomez, Szoboszlai for Gravenberch, Diaz for Gakpo. And I'm at the bottom of my page, but after the subs, I just have, let's see how this works. And when I flip the page, it says Mo Tutu. Because
works very well.
Oh my. I mean, Kev, that is the impact that every manager wants to see from their substitutes every single time, because Szoboszlai plays the ball to Trent into Mo, and bang, just like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant goal, brilliant finish. But in the build-up to that, we tried 2 or 3 times to give that ball away. And
so did they, though.
Well, we won it back.
Yeah.
And then we managed to put a combination together and Mo finished it off. And it was an outstanding finish. But it's like, I can't knock the goals we scored. The goals we scored were really good goals. And I understand the frustration. I really do. Because I really do feel this frustration big time. But it was like a 2-2. You're thinking, okay, 20 minutes plus injury time to go. Let's just go and do this now. Let's just go and get a winner. The changes that you made, you hope affect the game. And they did. Within minutes. You saw the difference of having someone like Trent. And I've no doubt that Conor Bradley would have a similar effect playing as an attacking right back who knows the position inside out. But more importantly, knows the runs of the players ahead of him. I think that's huge. This is what frustrated me about Jarrell Kwanzaa being asked to do a job at right back in the same fashion as Conor Bradley and Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he just can't do it. And that's not his fault. But you get back into it, and it just seems to be a case of watching a game of basketball after that. Because it was, you have a goal, we'll have a goal, you have a goal, we'll have a goal. And it was the game became a throwback. It became a throwback to a Sunday League game, to the 4-3 games. It was just absolute end-to-end stuff. I always felt that there was a winner in it for someone. It's just a case of who was going to take it. And it's like, I mean, I'm just looking here. 82 minutes off the bar. Salah almost makes it 3-2.
That would have been one of his
That was
greatest
outrageous.
goals. Oh, my.
Chance to get Diaz in the byline, cuts into the right on his right foot, drills a shot towards goal, was blocked. They were throwing their bodies at everything. And that's what kind of game it turned into.
But we made it turn into that game.
Yeah, we did.
It's like we gave them a head start. We didn't show up for the first 45 minutes, and we gave them a head start. And when we finally did show up, we were great. Our shots were great. Our goals were great.
But I think we needed that game. We needed it to turn into that game, because the way we were playing, the slow, methodical build-up through the phases, through the lines, get into the final third, and then suffocate a side in there, wasn't going to work. It just wasn't panning out. So we had to turn it into a battle. And we finally started winning our battles. Mo turned into the Mo Salah we know and love. Luis Diaz comes on and really starts to run at players. And when he's on the ball running at players players back off him because they know he's capable of doing stuff. You know, Darwin is a frustration. He's a real frustration, but there's no one else. So that's it. It's like at the back we've got five fit defenders. Up front we've got 4 fit attackers for 3 spots. So he's going to have to play, and he's going to have to just work through this.
We're not a lot fatter in midfielder either, Kev.
No, I know. Well, we are actually, but he chooses not to play 3 of them. He won't play Endo. He won't play Tyler Morton, and it looks like he doesn't want to play Harvey Elliott either.
Well, I think Harvey Elliott is just getting back. I don't think that's like a preferential thing. I think that's.
But he could even before his injury, though. He hardly played him. We saw him in preseason.
I mean, he was great in preseason.
Yeah, but we've hardly seen him since.
I think he missed
the other 2 is definitely a trust issue. The other 2 is 100% a trust issue.
I think Elliott's a circumstance, though, I think, because he missed the first 3, and generally the first 3 games, managers tend to go over set 12, 13, and just go, let's get these 3 games out of the way, and then he breaks his foot and misses that whole period. So
yeah,
I wonder with Elliott,
I think he would have gotten a lot more game time.
Picking his moments.
Yeah, well, the other 2 won't see anything more than League Cup.
No,
yeah,
I don't think they're good enough to play the type of football in that position, which seems so important to the way that Arne Slot has our team set up. I just don't think that Endo is good enough to do that. He can come on and do a serviceable 10-minute sub cameo or play.
I think that's the frustration, though, because we've seen Endo come on and do the serviceable 10-15 minute, and I'll be honest, 3-2. That was made. That was the moment. It was made for Endo, and I guarantee you, as much as we criticize Endo with his limitations, I don't think he'd give as many cheap free kicks away. And on the quiet, he's quite good at doing the James Milner winning a cheap free by just letting people run into him, and he's quite good at smashing somebody. Yeah, and that's what we needed because all game it was. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into the official because it sounds like sour grapes because we didn't win, but we were gifting cheap free kick after cheap free kick. And do you know what? If you keep giving away corners and cheap free kicks, law of averages says eventually it'll bite you in the arse.
Yeah, but Chris, at the same time, though, you know who's susceptible of giving away a quick free kick in a real rapid transition midfield game is Endo, because he's not the quickest to get around.
No, but he's fine when you bring off last. But when we've brought him off the last 10s, he's done fine, and he's not been doing the cheap free kick thing.
Yeah, but I think the difference for that is when we brought him on before, when we've had a lead, we've had the one thing that was completely absent from this game for I think the first time all season. And Ashley, you put a comment in the chat here earlier that pointed it out, and that was control. We had absolutely no control of this game. Okay, before we get to the end, because it feels like we're jumping to the end. Ashley, I know you got notes too, so let's run through the bit between when Mo levels it up at 2-2 to when it goes 3-2, because there's a fair number of talking points in here. Trent, a yellow card for I guess it's a yellow card. It fits with it. The yellow card.
I mean, he was giving a yellow card for everything that a Liverpool player did. If there was contact, it was a yellow card.
The one for Darwin that comes seconds later, though, is outrageous. Like, I get you need to respect the officials and things like that, but when you are so obviously duped by one of the most serial divers in all of world football in Anthony Gordon, and you give away a cheap foul like that, obviously a player is going to have a reaction. And Darwin picks up like...
I mean, Darwin is forgiven for that one moment of the game. There are so many other moments that we don't forgive him. For that moment, absolutely justified.
Yes, I like that. Shortly after that, next thing I have is Anthony Gordon plays an incredible crossfield ball to Jacob Murphy, who I thought was actually quite good for them on the right wing. And I thought that was a goal. I thought Kelleher was in absolute no man's land there, but he did enough to come out and make himself big and forces Murphy to put the ball wide. And then
I will say for that particular moment, Joelinton absolutely body checked Szoboszlai into the corner flag. That should have been a foul.
Yeah, again, but he probably pretended he had a hurt shoulder, so you're not allowed to call a foul or give a yellow card to a player that has an owie shoulder.
I mean, that was a completely different incident, though. This was
I know, but
I feel like Joelinton was playing it up all game, and he's one yellow card away from suspension as well. And I feel like the entire game, I don't know. That just pissed me off. It was a number of things pissed me off today.
They got the rub of the green on that. But The next one I have is Isaac gets in behind. I have Kwanzaa, great tackle. Pen maybe? Yikes, no pen. And then I moved on.
I said lucky boy underlined. Because I honestly think that if that was given, it would not have been overturned. It was one of those things where kind of like the reverse of what happened with the Robertson penalty, where they went with the on-field decision. I think that this was one of those things where they went with the on-field decision and it happened to go in our favor. That looked like a penalty on my replays. I don't know about your international feed, but I think Kwanzaa got away with one there.
Chris, what do you think? Was that lucky for Liverpool or a good tackle by Kwanzaa?
Yeah, my instant reaction was, "Oh, fuck, that's a penalty."
Yeah,
I was relieved we didn't get it wasn't given, but I just put myself in a position and said, if that's against us, the other way around, everyone here and where the chat agree about, all of the chat would be going, "That's a fucking disgrace, VAR again." Liverpool fucked over again. We'd all be going mad over it, and I think he gets away because the context probably seen by the ref. I think the ref misses the contact because it's not as big, but it's enough to pull him off his stride. But I think it's a penalty. I think he gets away with one.
Kev, what about you?
If it's given, there's no way VAR reverses it. Put it that way.
First instinct was it looked a pen all day. You watch the replay, he gets a nick on the ball at the same time as he contacts him. It's one of those. If it's given, it's not being overturned. If it's not given, VAR ain't re-reffing the game.
Yeah,
they ain't giving it. At the end of the day, ref on the field said no. There's not enough in it to overturn that. He did get a touch on the ball, but at the same time, he's got a touch on the ball because he went with his wrong leg. He got a touch with the player as well. So you just.
That being said, Mo Salah goes down for those exact same contacts numerous times and never gets a penalty.
No.
So just for the devil's advocate side of things.
One thing on what Ashley said about about Joe Linton putting. I mean, it was literally WWE. He threw him over the top rope and into the tables.
Royal Rumble.
If it was a winger chasing a fullback into the corner who touches him and he rolls over, that's foul is given as a free out every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That was a foul. There was another one when Trent got booked. Anthony Gordon was offside, but it wasn't flat. And it wasn't even close offside. He was well offside. But the flag didn't go up. Trent fouled him. The foul on its own, was a yellow card because Gordon was going around him and Trent took him out. No problem with the yellow card for that. But he was offside.
And they got a free from it. A dangerous.
And they got a free. Exactly. So that inconsistency with the referee tonight, because I think he's definitely going on a nice all expenses paid trip to Dubai for a couple of weeks in the summer.
There's so much good sports on in Riyadh in the summer months, Kev. You have no idea what you're missing if you don't go on holidays there. I mean,
funnily enough, on my wages, mate, I'd be looking to go to Bournemouth.
I mean, in fairness, this result, as much as the referee sucked, this result was not on the referee. This result was on
100% no. But there was inconsistencies in the way. And do you know what? To be truthful, I don't really have a problem with any of the Liverpool bookings. They were all either preventing counters or they were just stupid, holding players back.
The McAllister one was so soft.
It was soft. As soon as you go past the player and you foul him in that position, you're going to give away a booking. It's just the way the game is.
If the booking on the counter, like should have gone to all of the Newcastle players, it would have made a lot more sense.
And I wouldn't even be talking about it then.
Yeah.
But he didn't 100%. It wasn't going the other way. And he was giving fouls, but he wasn't booking Newcastle players. And do you know what? It didn't affect the result, but it kind of just grinds my gears.
I'll tell you what grinds my gears. It's just a flurry of activity in between our second and third goals. The Diaz does so good in the lead up to Darwin's fucking Shankenstein. I mean, that's the one. I mean, I can get how you slide in. I've seen some people kind of debate the one in the, I think it was in the first half, where he's sliding in at the back post from the Gakpo header and he misses it, that it was just too far for him. The one where Diaz does so good and it falls to Darwin in the box. He just, it's so bad. And then Mo has that one that Kev alluded to earlier where he puts it off the bar. But I mean, Chris, Mo's goal to make it 3-2, the touch that he has to take that ball with one touch, pirouette, and put it in is, the word has to be world class, because Trent Alexander-Arnold pings that ball at him from about 20 feet away. And like, Mo Salah.
Oh, it's unreal. Touch, hit, bang. You know, that's pure number 9 goals. That is ridiculous. And I don't care what Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards computers say. If you still can't work out to give this guy a contract, your fucking computer needs looking at. Do you know what I mean? And I know it's money and it's like it's what they're gonna do in the future, but I'm not sure what else a lad has to do in terms of metrics. Is he as quick as he was a couple of years ago? Probably not, no, but he's adapted his game. But he's top goal scorer in the league now. He's got double figures assists again. I think if he gets 20 assists again this year with 20 goals, I think he breaks Henry's record, because then he'll be the only player to do it in 3 seasons, you know. And you're going to let him walk out for free. Come on.
I have a question, because I've been thinking
sense.
about this for a while. Is there any logic behind FSG holding off on giving Mo a contract, kind of as like a carrot to dangle over him? Because his performances have been outrageous in the lead up to...
Yeah, there could be an element of, you know, they dangle the carrot. It's got the 3 of them playing, but I mean, I've keep going FSG and they blame Henry and all that lot. Like, I get why people are frustrated with them and all that, but ultimately, the running of a day-to-day football club is done by Richard Hughes, Billy Hogan, and Michael Edwards. That is what they're employed to do. They're not ringing
John Henry has nothing to do with
going,
this.
John, can we give him 300 grand? Literally, it's a number on a spreadsheet going, your budget for wages is X billion, and this is your transfer budget, X billion. Spend it. Spend what you earn on all that palaver. That's what you're there to spend. They're not ringing John Henry. So if they go, it'll be because Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have decided they can't come to an agreement. That's why you brought them in. We can't laud bringing them 2 back, and then, you know, if it makes us we don't like, that it's on them. So, but I mean, it's clearly someone, Richard Hughes is leaking something to David Ornstein, because now David Ornstein is leaking something about contracts. So this is all part of the dance, but it's a distraction we don't need. But listen, on Mo Salah, he's ridiculous. He's broken another record. It's like 37 consecutive games. He's got goals and assists in. It's something
not consecutive. That would be outrageous.
37 games, so he's got goals and assists in, which is another Premier League record to add to his list of Premier League records. He's now got 7 goals in consecutive games. You know, 7 consecutive games he's scored in, which is equaling his record, which he'd already broken. You know, so I'm not sure what else he needs to do, really. You know, just get it done. I'll be honest.
I just hope they don't try to do like the smartest guy in the room thing again, where
Well,
you know they're like, oh, well, we have a plan, and I mean they may very well have a plan, but I don't think you can come up with. I cannot come up with a suitable alternative for Mo Salah. Like, where we are in the league today is almost 100% down to him with the points on the board. I think we'd be down around like 12th without him.
I think,
you know,
if he got
other players would step in for him, and that you know, it's not as black and white.
I think if Mo's not in this squad, you just talk about top 4 balls. That's what we're talking about. You know, he's an X factor player. You know, like different players, but like Odegaard is for Arsenal or Rodri is for City. There's just certain players that you take them out of any squad, they naturally drop 2 or 3 levels. You take Mo Salah out of this squad, he naturally drops. The squad naturally drops. And, you know, we saw that at the end of Klopp's last season when Mo was off form because of his first real big hamstring injury. The goals just kind of dried up because the rest of the lads just don't have that talisman, you know, because there aren't many Mo Salahs around, you know. So unless there's another Mo Salah kicking around that's going to appear next season that we've already found, but they're very hard to come by.
Yeah, they are extremely hard to come by, which is good because, I mean, if everybody had one, that would take a lot of the joy out of us having the only Mo Salah, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kev, I've come to you multiple times this season after Allison's been injured to wax lyrical about the pride of Cork, and unfortunately, there's two sides to every coin, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
They make their changes on 87. My next note is in all capital letters. Must see this out from here. And the next word I have written down is fuck.
Yeah.
Do you think, it's from a free kick. The ball comes in. I think he can catch that ball and he just leaves it to let it go out for a goal kick.
Do you agree? Yeah, I do, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't get why he does. I cannot understand. And the one thing you've seen all season long, he's good at coming for the ball. Yeah. He comes for the ball. He's very good at punching.
Like an anti-Mignolet, you would say.
But look, he grew up playing Gaelic football. So he's very good at taking the ball in the air. It's natural to it. Not just as a soccer goalkeeper, a football goalkeeper. It's natural for him because he's done it since he was 5 years of age playing GAA. It's what we all grew up over here playing, and that's how we grew up playing. There is no way in my no thought in my mind that says he cannot come and catch that ball. If he can't catch it, he's got to take the Virgil van Dijk approach. If in doubt, clear it out. Yeah. And he does neither. He pulls his hand away, and there's nobody will need him to tell him more than he'll know himself that he fucked up. The other person who fucked up was Trent lost his man. You know, Shar ran off him. It was a beautiful cross, but it was probably too deep. Shar got around the back, got a foot on it, and miraculously a winning. But Kelleher has to come and do something with that ball. You cannot come and do nothing. You not in 93 minutes. The best case scenario is you come, you claim the cross, you do a Jordan Pickford, you have a couple of rolls, you lay down, and you watch everyone go out the pitch, you put it down, and you launch it. And the referee blows his final whistle because that's how close it was.
I wouldn't even mind if he just touched it and he went out for a corner. Because then you just go, okay, right, reset, let's go again.
But we dealt with their corners all night really well. Defended them really well. You cannot do nothing. It's the first real clanger he's made this season. So I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. At the end of the day, he's still a top keeper. All keepers will be haunted by a mistake like that.
Listen,
he's got to brush it off quickly. Allison's made plenty.
Allison's made clangers in City games, Arsenal games,
but this one is a clanger of biblical proportions.
Yeah,
and he's got to go and punch the wall tonight.
But don't push
the wall in the morning.
Yeah,
don't punch the wall because we don't want a broken hand.
Trust me, go and punch the wall. Fuck it, you'd be grand. Wake up in the morning and just forget it. Just dust it off. Don't do it again. And move on from it because he can't. And I don't think he'll be allowed to dwell on that anyway. But look, you remember keepers get remembered for one or two things: saving you the game or dropping you in it. There's very rarely you'll have a keep. You'll very rarely we'll do a post match show where we're talking about the game and what have you. And by the way, Kelleher didn't do much. Allison didn't do much. They just become an afterthought. The only time you're really talking about them is when you're saving your bacon or they've dropped you. They've dropped you in it. Plenty of times this season, Kelleher has saved us. All right. And with his performances, he's turned potential draws into wins with key saves and key moments. So, easy on the doom and gloom comments. It's one absolute horror clanger.
Yeah.
Move on from it.
And I don't think that there's anybody in the world that knows that more than Kelleher himself. Like, that's one of those, if the earth could swallow you up moments, you would take it in that. I mean,
Yeah.
Chris, like, you get people like Anthony Gray says, I'm not going to blame Queeve, which is, I get the
I am.
altruism
100%
that comes from that, but he's a blame. Like,
He is to blame.
You can blame the keeper for a mistake because it's a mistake that has ultimately is a as well as that's contributes to us dropping points. It isn't the only reason because we didn't play well enough. So I don't buy the notion you can't blame the keeper. You can blame the keeper. What I won't do is, and there are some in the chat who I'm not going to acknowledge, who are just like, we've got a keeper problem. He's not that good. This keeper's not that good. We've got major problems. It baby out with the bathwater. So let's get the extreme. I'm quite down about the result because I feel it just gives a bit of impetus to chase around. But I'll wake up in the morning and go, well, we are still 7 points clear. If we win our next 2 games, which are tough games against Everton and Fulham, then we're looking at 10 points from 4 games. That's fine. That's actually, from that run, pretty decent. Maybe not the way you thought you get the points, but you know what? 10 points from 4 games, next 4 games is absolutely fine. So is Kelleher to blame for us drawing? Yes, he's a big part of it because he fucks up for the equaliser. Am I writing him off now? Will I be asked if he's in goal against Everton? Not really. No, if it's Alisson, great. If he's fit, cool. If it's Kelleher, cool, fine. It's not like when we used to have the issues of Caris and Mignolet. It was like, fucking hell, which shite one do you want? You're like juggling, going, well, he's slightly better with his feet. He can sometimes catch a cold. It's one of those. So it's not like that. It's kind of like, well, what you might find with Kelleher, it might play the next 2-3 games, and again, we'll be coming in here going, yeah, Kelleher had nothing to do today. Yeah, oh yeah, he was good. It's just the manner of it and the fact it's literally last kick of the game, and it's just like, after such a shit performance.
I mean, it wasn't literally the last kick of the game.
Well, yeah, do you know what I mean? But pretty much near the end of the game, think, we're gonna get away with this. We're actually gonna get a win, and then we can regroup. That'll do. So
yeah, and just to counter one thing that you said there, Kev, you said you either talk about keepers saving you the game or costing you the game. We do have the joy as Liverpool fans of on 2 occasions talking about 2 different keepers winning us the game, because things are just different when you're a fan of the Reds, because we do miraculous and hilarious things like having goalkeepers win us games. So yeah, like Kelleher is going to take absolute pelters in the media from fan content on social media and stuff like that. You trust that he's old enough and he's been around enough that, and he seems the most unflappable and cool customer. Like, in games, he doesn't seem like he gets things like that. So
it's funny, actually. John O'Shea was on the panel on the feed that I was watching. John O'Shea was the Ireland acting manager. He's the current Ireland assistant manager. And he was talking before the game about Kelleher, and he made the point of saying he's just unflappable as a personality. He takes everything in his stride, good and bad, and it's water off a duck's back to him. Yeah. The other thing he said is I think it's pretty widely known now. Next season, Queeve Kelleher will be a number 1 somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether that's with Liverpool or whether that's with someone else, next summer he will be a number 1 with somebody. I think that's kind of an open secret at this stage.
Yeah. I think the big thing to remember in the short-sighted nature of being like, he cost us a win and it would have been such a fucking glorious win. Believe me, nobody is more upset to not get to start a YouTube show coming in here absolutely a ball of energy, especially because we had a half an hour after the game. So I could have got a lot of cans into me. I was shattered that we didn't get all 3 of those points. But just remember that Kelleher was in goal for the run that we just have, that we're currently on, that we haven't had Alisson, the world's best goalkeeper, in a long time now, and who's been the guy in between the sticks for us. So there's some people in the chat that are, a little upset at Kelleher. Well, don't let your short-term judgment cloud your medium to long-term memory, because he's been fucking spectacular for us. So yeah, he can take it on the chin tonight. He's going to have to take that, man up, maybe a few polite ribbings from Robbo on the bus, on the way home sort of thing, and everything will be good again, and we go again come Saturday. Ashley, you have been
just-
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Just thinking about it, Matt. Kev, Ashley, should we just kick him off the show? Because when he wasn't on the show, we kept winning games.
I think I need to move back to Park City.
So it might be your fault, Matt. Can we go with that one?
Oh, jeez.
I'm okay with blaming Ashley like she wanted to do.
I'm not blaming Ashley, no, because Ashley does all the hard work. If Ashley doesn't do his shows, me and Kev have got a lot of work to do.
What do you mean all the hard work? I built an
Poor Kev
advent
doesn't want to
calendar.
take notes.
I'm not
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not
just wanna
taking
do
notes.
notes.
You can't make me.
I will. I'm not quick enough to do all this admin that you do on the show, so we can't blame
Yeah,
Ashley.
all right.
We need
Before we
Ashley.
get in, because Ashley was working away getting us all the post-match quotes.
You can read them.
Okay, I'll come to you first on this though, Ashley. 91st minute handball penalty. What do you think?
I mean, I think it was close to his body. I think the bigger handball, or not the bigger handball, but the bigger penalty claim was Diaz. It was right around 91 minutes where there was a bit of shirt holding where the shirt holding ended, I'm not quite sure. That to me was a bigger penalty claim. I think the handball was close to his body, unfortunately.
Kev, what about you?
Nah, no chance. I'll tell you what, on the pitch to the players, it would have looked right. It looked like a pen because you had one arm tucked into his chest and the other arm way away from his body. And if in that instant, if you're on the pitch, you're seeing the ball deflected the way it deflected, you're automatically hands up. You're thinking it's handball all day long. His arm is tucked right into his chest. Bar chopping it off, he's got nowhere else to put his arm. It
Didn't chop it off.
It can't go anywhere else. It's not a penalty.
Ocean's right, though.
In a million.
Ocean's right. In Europe, that'll be a given.
It's not. It's not even given in Europe. No, it's.
I think. Have you seen some of the penalties given in Europe?
Yes, I have. And
I've seen it for deflections off your own leg.
honestly, they even talk about the silhouette in Europe. His arm is tucked into his chest.
For the record, I didn't think it was a pen either.
Yeah, it's
I
never
understand
a
why
pen
they
in
shouted
Europe.
for it because you'd all shout for it, but
Oh God, yeah, you shout for it all day long because
I wanted it real bad.
But the way the ball deflected off to the side, you're hoping that it came off the arm that was outstretched.
Yeah,
and in fairness, he's 6'8". Odds are his limbs are just going to be an awkward, gangly Peter.
They were where it hit him. It was close to the body.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would love it to have been a penalty.
Yeah,
we
me
all
too.
wanted it to be a penalty.
Actually, Sam makes a great point there. Right. And I'm not saying that as soon as Lucho felt that contact in the box, he has to go down.
Yeah. I think
all
of our forwards actually are awful at I mean, and I say this
winning fouls.
Yeah, I don't want to because it is kind
exaggerating
of
the
content, but not content, but contact. But they're not very good at it. Like when they do it, it looks forced.
He tries to stay on his feet, and let's put it this way. We'll be talking about football prizes in a minute. Luis Suarez would have made sure he won a penalty there.
Yes.
Gordon would have made sure he won a penalty.
Yeah. There is an art to it. Harry Kane would have made sure he won a penalty in that situation. And I can't slag Lucho for not doing it because I don't want to see players doing it. But at 3-3, just fucking do it, man. Just do it. It's okay. I'll get over it.
Not all the time.
It's my issue. I'll get over it. I don't know how, but I'll get over it.
Exactly. All right. We're going to run through some quotes here, but thank you for Jack Napier 666 saying, like the videos, lads, 271 of you watching, which is nice. It's nice getting 272 up to now in here. So do us all a favor at the Talkin Kop, hit that like button or just subscribe or become a member if you want to. Like, where was it? Yanis Matsis, who became a YouTube member today. So we've had a fair good number of people join the Telegram chat in the last week or so.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they all just get bombarded with what seems to be the onboarding questionnaire that we have now for our new members. It's all in good fun,
give it away.
and it is.
If you want to know about it, sign up.
That's right. All you got to do is just become a member of the Talkin Kop on YouTube, and you get to join in all the good fun with all of us. So here we got the quotes. Arne Slot, I have mixed feelings. We were outstanding in the second half, but we were not good enough in the first half. Maybe 3-3 is what the game deserved. Goes on to say they were really aggressive and forced us into mistakes, but we were so much better in the second half. I knew the game could be changed around. We were much better with the ball. There's a big long break in there. Here we go. Slot says, in the second half, especially after we scored for 1-1, I thought we were really impressive. We created so many opportunities, good chances. Then 1 minute before the end, being 3-2 up, it feels like a disappointment to drop 2 points. In the first half, we had a lot of problems with their intensity, aggressive playing style without the ball, aggressive in a good way. We tried to cope with it, but every time we touched them, we got a yellow, and that doesn't really help for us to be intense then as well. Slot continues, but we give credit to them. They were more intense than us. They forced us into too many mistakes. It wasn't that difficult for us to be better in the second half with the ball. And that's what we were. Maybe it was difficult for them to keep the intensity of the first 45 minutes. On Mo Salah, Arne Slot says, it is difficult for me to predict the long-term future. The only thing I can expect or predict is that he is in a very good place at the moment. What makes him even more special for me is before we scored for 1-1, you thought he is not playing his best game, but then he comes up with a half an hour with an assist and 2 goals. On Mo again, Arne says, what I did most was look at the style of play and team performance and not that much the individual performance. And what I noticed from the start when we came in, how fit he was, how ready he was to make a very good season for him, that he led by example from the first day onwards in preseason, where so many of his teammates who he usually plays with, so the international players, were not there. And to still be able to work that hard, he did and trained so hard. Yeah, and then we all saw the quality in the training sessions, so it's not surprising. And the end result of that, as Ashley points out, is that Mo Salah has been involved in 75% of our Premier League goals this season. Ashley, that is both shockingly impressive and worryingly untenable.
Mildly terrifying.
Yeah.
Mildly terrifying. I mean, he's an absolute phenomenon. That's what he is. He's a phenomenon. And, you know, I don't know what we're going to do without him. And hopefully it's a question that we won't have to deal with for a few more years. I really, really hope so.
We'll find out in 6 months' time.
I don't know. I'm going to be knocking on John Henry's door. I'm going to have to get in my car and drive down to Brookline and knock on his door. Otherwise,
you know where he lives?
Not exactly. I'm sure I could find him.
Guys, one thing on Mo Salah
and
the contract, okay? On the contract of Mo Salah, relax. These things will get. This is the game. When you start seeing Ornstein getting quotes from, and you know where the quote's coming from, this is how both sides are going to play it. The next thing you're going to start seeing now, and I predict this will happen in the next 7 days, you'll start getting the cryptic tweets from Mo's agent, because that's what they do.
He hasn't done a lot of that. He hasn't done a lot of that recently, though, has he?
No.
With this contract negotiation, which is interesting.
Look, I'm telling you, I bet you, I put a month's wages on this. All 3 will get offers. We don't know what Mo Salah's asking for. So when people start saying, and I'm as guilty of it in private chats to you guys, give him what he wants. We don't know what he's asking for. We haven't a clue. All right. They will have a number in mind. It won't be a pay cut. They will have. He's still one of the highest paid players in world football today, including the people who are playing in the part-time Saudi league. So let's not, I'm not going to be bleating for Mo Salah, worrying about where he's going to be able to afford to play for the bread and milk. He's going to get well compensated. He'll get a good contract offer and a fair contract offer. So will Virgil, so will Trent. If they want to stay and if they want to sign it, they'll sign it. There's deals to be done there. If they don't, I hope to fuck every single person in the chat complaining about people signing this and signing that. I hope to fuck you all enjoyed watching these players here, because they owe us absolutely nothing. They've literally given us some of the best years that we've ever seen at the club. And if they decide that, look, this is their last year, that's their right. They have every right to do it. If the club make them a fair offer and they decide, no, thank you very much, I'm off, there's nothing more we can do. And we'll never know the details, or we won't know until a few years down the line exactly what was offered. We'll never know exactly what they earn. We'll get ballpark ideas. But just these people we were brought in to run the club, they've done a very good job in assembling this squad. This squad is still doing really, really well, despite tonight's dodgy, horrendous draw away at Newcastle. That's what it is. It's a draw, a 3-3 draw, and arguably one of the best games of the season so far. we're really gutted and sickened and disappointed at a draw, lads. Do you know what I mean? Bit of perspective here.
I know. I know City aren't the City we saw a couple of years ago, but you still feel it. I think we're still in that mindset of draws feel like defeats. And listen, but I say it's all context. If we're sat here after the Fulham game going, we've beaten Fulham, we've beaten Everton, I think we're a bit less.
If you turn around at the end of that and say, right, we've beaten Southampton, we've beaten City, we've got a draw at Newcastle, we've beaten Everton, we've beaten Fulham.
You're
like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
because I didn't know where the draw was coming. I'd assume it was coming at Man City. It didn't.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
13 points out of 15.
Yeah.
If you maintain that run going into it, that would be more than enough. I mean, we're still going at 2.5 points a game. I think we're the only club that's going over 2 points a game. That's the level we're running at the moment, and that's only the second time we've. That's only the second time we've dropped points away from home. We've literally dropped.
I'm pretty sure that's the only way that Arsenal can even get back into the title race is if they match our performances, and they're not close to it either.
No, Arsenal have to go over 2.5 points a game now for the rest of the season to get to 90.
Yes.
So that's the context you're going to look at it. So is it possible? Yeah. You know, it just puts a little bit of fear back into the situation.
I'll tell you what, if they do it, if Arsenal run at 2.5, 2.6 points per game between now and the end of the season,
that's City. That's
championship.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Can they do it? Yeah, they can. If they can keep that 11 on the pitch all the time, they can do it. Will they? Fuck no. No chance.
Attaboy, Kev. Boy, you had me worried there for a second, Kev. You had me worried
so silly.
For a second.
On the flip side, too, we can take bad results and and use them to our advantage. The way that we used the Forest game and came on a run afterwards, I truly believe that Slot will take this, use it as information, and I think this team will grow from it. I think that it's a blip. It's unfortunate. It was an error. I think the Forest game was an error at the end as well. I think this team can build from this and basically use it as like a signpost and say, you know, it's not going to all be our way because it's not.
We're going to have draws and we're going to lose. We're going to lose a couple of games
probably
now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
nailed on.
You know, you take it on the chin and you move on, and that's what this team needs to do.
Do you think Newcastle now will become the new Nottingham Forest for Slot, where he'll just mention Newcastle now for 7 weeks with absolute disdain?
I hope not, because I really don't like Newcastle. I don't want to hear them that much.
No, I must admit, I did laugh at his press conference. He said, look, all games are tough here. You play tough seasons like City and Arsenal.
It's his Roman Empire.
But he says Forest. You can see his face.
Roman Empire.
It is.
I'm telling you, if we win the league title and he writes a biography about it, his title will be fucking Forest. Because that's all that bothers him.
Yeah. But Scouser Pete had this comment here. This is like 40 minutes ago, and I saved it. And it's pretty much exactly what you were saying there, Ashley, which is why I threw it up on the screen. Pete says this won't happen again. Arne has a lot of video to use from this game. Him and his team will be drilling the lads on where to improve. This will be turned into a positive. And I absolutely, absolutely love that positivity from it. So let's go and do the final thing we need to do today, which is I'm going to start with, let's say, Kev. Kev, man of the match, honorable mention, and needs to improve.
Mo Salah. I know he was poor in the first half, but he wasn't alone. There was plenty of others in that boat. But for that half an hour in the second half, he was untouchable. He was exactly what this game needed. A real touch of world class. And that third goal is a ridiculous finish. The pass for the first goal, you know, to see Joe, and honorable mention, Curtis Jones, his late run into the box, he timed that brilliantly because he slowed down. You know, some players will burst the gut and run into the box and overrun that pass or arrive to it too soon and not set himself. He took that goal brilliantly. Could improve, Ryan Gravenberch. It was hands down 100% the worst performance he's put in this season. He literally, and I think to their credit, Newcastle's middle three, the physicality and quality, they targeted the two in midfield and did a number on him. But I thought Ryan Gravenberch was just not on anywhere near close to where he's been all season.
Hard to disagree with that. Ashley, I'm going to come to you next and make Chris go last.
I don't think there's another answer.
But it's bullying this.
I think Mo Salah is clearly the man of the match. I agree with the could do better as well. I think Gravenberch was bullied. I think between Joe Linton and Bruno, I think, he was always going to have an off day. He can't have 10 out of 10 performances every single week, but I think he just got physically bullied, and I think that they had a game plan to stop him. And I think, honorable mention. I agree. All three with what Kev said. I think Jones, was probably the pick out of a bad bunch for the first half. I think his goal was phenomenal. I think, whenever he's been tasked with playing that role, he's done well. I don't think there's like standouts here. I mean, you could probably say Kelleher could do better with the goal, but I think we've picked on him enough. So, in general, I think Kev's spot on there.
Oh, look at that. She's making it easy for you, Chris.
Before you go to Chris, can I just address what Jonathan said there? Because he's just basically said Gravenberch has played every Premier League game this season. You can't expect such high levels. I agree with that. Without protecting him, I agree with that. And I think that's something that has to be addressed in January. We'll go into it again at a later point. But I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, that goes to that legginess that I kind of pointed out. Was like we were a quarter step short in the tackle and stuff like that, which we were not against Madrid or against Man City. Chris, who are your three for today?
Man of the match and honorable mention, same two really. The only two you can think of. Could do better. God, it's about 7 of them. I would Darwin Núñez, to be honest, because I'll be honest, I don't mind Darwin either way, but he proper got on me. He proper got on me pip today. It just annoyed me.
That's a good show. That's a good show.
He just annoyed me all game. Look, that's more about me than him, but it's just his all-round performance and his general play and his poor finishing just in general just annoyed me. And listen, look, Kelleher, yes, he should do better because ultimately one of the biggest moments in the game, he bowls us up. So probably between them two. But Darwin probably because that was one that was wrangling me all game. And then obviously Kelleher just added to it. He said, Kelleher went, hold my beer. Well, actually, he did say hold my beer because he could hold it. Would be all right. But
that was very good. That was very good. Yeah, I think anybody who doesn't say man of the match tonight was Mohamed Salah was not watching the game tonight. I would use the same line of thinking as Richard Lefebvre. He says he's disagreeing with something Sam Tandy said. I don't know what that is, but he says Mo got 0 service while Kwanzaa was at right back. He was part of a rickety defense, but I would give honorable mention to Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. Trent was very good when he came on.
He puts those 2 balls in for Mo, and he just completely changed the game because we were just missing that extra attacking threat that we've, for 8 years, had from our right back. We even have it from our backup right back, and we were just missing it with Kwanzaa because that's not the type of player that he is. So honorable mention to Trent, and must do better. It has to be Darwin Núñez because if he doesn't do better, he will not be doing it wearing a Liverpool shirt for a whole heck of a while.
I was going to say he can't do much worse, but I don't know.
I
dread to think because there could be new levels we don't know about.
Own goals are a thing still. Own goals are a thing
Don't
still.
tempt fate.
What would you do for the back four for the derby?
I think you go 1920 themed. I think you go Trent, Robbo, Gomez, and Virgil.
I'm worried about Robbo doing 5 games on the bounce. I think that's going to get in his legs quite quickly soon. And I think the best we've seen Robbo is when he's had a bit more of gaps between games. I mean, that's the ball ache of Simicast, unfortunately, picking an injury. Well, the other option is you go Gomez left back and stick Kwanzaa in the middle. Listen, Gomez did left back loads.
I don't know. I feel like the defensive experiment today failed.
Yeah, but
and I don't know.
All of Everton's goals today were from set pieces, and Everton are a big side, so the additional height might help. I'm not saying it'll do it, but it's an option.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I think midfield, because I think midfield attack pick itself. Midfield there's literally 3 that slot like, so that's it. At attack, it's probably not Darwin, so it's the other 3.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if Endo doesn't start on Saturday.
Really?
I would be very surprised if he doesn't start on Saturday.
I don't think he'll start. I don't think.
I honestly do not.
I think he plays Girona, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't think Ryan Gravenberch can do 90 minutes on Saturday after that performance. You were right when he said he was leggy. He looked like the legs had completely fallen off him. And for a derby at Goodison Park, Endo's your man. No problem whatsoever. You put Endo in there, but you put Endo in there with Jones and Szoboszlai. No problem. But and I would go with that back 4 as well with Trent, Joe Gomez.
Kev's had enough. Kev's internet's
point
gone.
There.
Slot's gone. Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
No,
I
Kev
like
just
the
got
idea
injured.
of having the 2 local guys playing in the derby, though.
Kev's internet's got all Darwin Núñez.
God.
He missed an absolute tap in there.
He did. He had a tap in for a comment, and he's gone.
Yeah, he's absolutely gone. Well, I think that's probably a pretty good sign. Clearly, Kev has nothing else to say before we go. Chris, anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's enough. That's enough. Fingers crossed. 2:30 Saturday. We're all sat here really happy.
Exactly.
That'd be great. Let's do that. That's more fun.
Yeah, that's more fun. I mean, hopefully. I mean, to be fair, touch wood this season, we've had Forest and we've had Newcastle. That's it. The rest of the season, we've done ourselves well with getting results and digging out the hole even when we're not in the happy place. So that's fine. Faster Toilet Sauce is correct. Die Hard is a Christmas film.
It's not. We're not going to start on the chat right now. I don't have enough time. We've already been on for an hour and 20 minutes. McGlinchey pointed out that Gav's going to be furious. I don't have enough time to deal with dum-dums that don't understand what a Christmas movie is.
So it's Die Hard 2 as well, just to throw it out there.
It's not. Die Hard 2 is barely even a Die Hard.
Yeah. Terrible. Listen, I've fact-checked it with Ashley. She agrees.
No.
I have nothing to do with this. I am Switzerland. I am waving the white flag. Nothing to do with it.
Well, white flag, that sounds pretty Christmassy to me. I mean, that's more than good enough. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us before this gets absolutely derailed. Please hit the like button. If you're watching afterwards, give us a 5-star rating on your podcast and whatnot like that, blah, 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 blah. But please, if you can, help us out with our 2 charity partners, Fan Supporting Food Banks in Liverpool, who are a fixture outside of both Goodison Park and Anfield on match days, collecting food for people that are in need of a good meal, and the Lighthouse Cafe in Dublin, who are doing the same thing, but with hot, fresh food in the city of Dublin for people that need to have a bite to eat. Please help us help raise money for these 2 wonderful, wonderful charities. You'll find the GoFundMe link in the show descriptions and whatnot. But St. James's Park was the scene of another absolute ding-dong banger of a game. It finished 3 to Newcastle, 3 to Liverpool. We got our noses absolutely bloodied and embarrassed with, of all things, a draw. A draw. Here we are, crying over a draw. Hopefully, we've got much better things to talk about on Saturday. First derby of the season. Last one at Goodison. We'll see you guys after that. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.